jumped in. This is Shalaya with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today we are going over our website overview class. So you do want to go ahead and get started by logging into Command. So that's going to be at agent.kw.com. If you do have any trouble logging in, just remember that your username is not case sensitive. However, your password is. So you can click on the little eyeball icon in the password box to make sure that is typed in correctly. So once you log in, before we jump right into Command, I have a couple other tabs open up here that I'm going to go over with you before we jump into our websites. So the first one is going to be our Scott Leroy website here. So if you are not familiar with this site, this is just scottleroymarketing.com. And this has many resources on it. So what we're going to jump into today is we are going to hover under Agent Resources. And we're going to go down to New KW Agent Websites. So this page is going to be solely based on the new websites that just recently launched here. So starting from the top down, we first have our live training calendar here. So you can view all of our live trainings each day. You can also add this calendar to your Google Calendar by clicking this little button here in the corner. Scrolling down below that, we have a link to our YouTube playlist. This is going to be a playlist that just has videos and trainings based on the new websites. And then under that, we have some of those videos and tips easily linked here if there is something in particular you are looking for. So we have our what to do before launching your new site. So if you have not launched your site yet, this will give you some information on how to prepare for that before you do switch over. And then under that is going to be a section for what to do once you have launched your website. So this is just going to be some short tip videos on some of the items that we're going to touch on in class today. And then under that, we have links to some of the KWRI provided articles. So KWRI has put out multiple articles based on the new agent sites to help walk you through certain items within the sites and just provide some additional information. So that's going to bring us to the other tab that I have open here. So this tab is going to be all of the articles that are provided by KW that is based on the new agent sites. So anything within the sites, you should be able to find here if you are looking for a walkthrough of anything. You'll see there is a whole long list of articles here. I'll go ahead and drop a link to this in the chat box for you. So those are the two things that I would recommend bookmarking and saving in case you ever need to go back and reference any of this information to help walk you through anything. So now that we have covered each of those, we can go ahead and dive into Command. So I'm going to click back over to Command up here. So once we're in Command with the new KW sites, the information on the new sites is going to automatically update with your marketing profile 100%. Because of this, we do want to make sure that our marketing profile is always current and up to date. So we are going to navigate there by going to the top right and clicking on our name. And then we're going to go down to settings. And now once we are in our command settings here, we want to go to the left-hand side and go under Connect Settings. And that is where we can find our marketing profile here. So A brief overview of our marketing profile here. The very first thing I like to point out is in the top right corner, you're going to see this green toggle. And you'll see the description says, use my information to brand my agent site. You always want to be sure that this is toggled to green, as this is what feeds your information to your website and brands your marketing to you as the agent. So if you were to turn this off, then your website would no longer be branded to you and your marketing would not be branded with your information. So always make sure that this is turned on at all times, just to make sure everything is feeding over correctly. Next, we have our headshot photo. We do recommend being sure that your headshot is cropped down to a perfect square. If it does look distorted in the circle here, that is how it's going to show up on your marketing. If you have any trouble cropping or uploading your photo, you can always send that over to us and we would be happy to assist you with getting that updated. Next, we have a team logo. So if you are on a team and have a team logo, you can add that in here. If you are not on a team, we do recommend that you still put a logo here as a placeholder. Like you see, we have a generic KW logo here. So you can use something like that, or like a designation logo, like the realtor logo, or if you have your own custom logo that you want to use, you can throw that in there. The reason we recommend that is because some of the marketing materials automatically pull that team logo in. So if you don't have something uploaded there, it can show up on your marketing as a broken image link. Down below that is going to be our details. So for your name, we do recommend that you use the name that is reflected on your license, just to be sure that it is following compliance. Then you have your license number. You have a spot for team name if you are on a team. Your job title can go in there. If you have a personal slogan that you use for your business, you have the option to add a slogan. And then we have our designations and credentials. So in this box, you will most likely see realtor typed in here. And then if you're not sure how to get this little symbol at the end, if you type in the Alt key on your keyboard and hold that down and then type 0174, that's going to give you that symbol there. Next below that, we have military affiliation. So if you are affiliated with the military, you can add that in here. You would first select your affiliation from this drop-down list. And then once you choose your affiliation, you will receive another drop-down list to choose the branch that you are affiliated with. Once you select those, be sure that you click on this add button over here next to the drop-down boxes. Otherwise, it is not going to save that when you save your profile. So definitely make sure you hit that add button. Under that is going to be our bio. So the way your bio looks on your marketing profile is how it's going to show up on your website and your marketing. So if you do have line breaks in between your paragraphs like you see here or anything like that, this is where you want to make sure that is reflecting the way you want it to look. Then under our bio, we have our contact information. So we have our mobile phone number, our office phone number. If you have a fax number, you can add that in there. For the email, that's going to be your business email. If you do have a non-KW business email that you use, you can add that in here. You are not required to use your KW email. And then for the website URL, you will most likely see your command website domain there, unless you are utilizing a custom domain for your website. And then under that, we have our market center information. So we do recommend being sure this is always reflecting the correct information. So if by chance you have transferred market centers or your market center has relocated, You always want to make sure this is reflecting correctly just to be sure you are following compliance. For the Market Center logo, you will see that this looks a little distorted here. Unlike the headshot photo, the logos will automatically correct themselves. So if this looks a little wonky here, you don't have to worry about that too much because it will update on your website and your marketing materials. Down below that, we have our compliance items. So we have legal footer text. If there is any legal text that your market center requires for compliance, you can add that in there. You have the option to add your legal footer links. So for example, some market centers require certain links, like Texas agents need to have their information compliance stuff uploaded, and the New York agents need to have standard operating procedures uploaded. If there are any links that you have to have within your marketing profile, you can add those in here. You will first enter your link title and then the URL to your link. To remove these, you can simply click on the red trash can icon all the way to the right here, and that will delete it from your profile there. Under that, we have legal footer images. These are very small. You'll see the description says they are 128 by 48 pixels. They are pretty much thumbnail size, so you probably don't want to use this for any advertising or things like that. But if you do have any images that your market center requires or any designation logos that you want to add, you could use that for those. And then next under that, we have our social media. So if you have your social media business pages set up, you can add those links into your marketing profile, and that will link your social media pages onto your website and your marketing. So you have the option to add in your Facebook business page, your Twitter if you have one, your Instagram page, if you have a YouTube channel, as well as your LinkedIn profile. So all of those are options to add onto your website. And then at the bottom, you're going to see this section for Google Analytics ID. This is no longer relevant within the marketing profile, as this has now moved into the back end of the websites. And we'll go over that once we dive into our website dashboard. So once we have completed our marketing profile, we do want to make sure that we click on the Save button here at the bottom to save our changes. And that's going to refresh the page, and we're going to get this pop-up box letting us know that our profile was successfully saved. So now that we have updated our marketing profile, we can go ahead and dive into our website. So to get to our website dashboard, we want to go to the Consumer tab. That's going to be the very last icon on this left side menu here. And if you're still getting familiar with these, if you click on the red KW in the top left corner, that's going to give you a description of each of these icons until you get familiar with what each of them stands for. So we're going to go ahead and go under Consumer. So now that we are in our Consumer tab here, a couple of things that I will go over, as I know this looks a bit different if you were using the old KW sites. As far as the Consumer tab, this basically replaces that site and app settings link that used to be in the top right corner of your Consumer tab. So here is where you can update your website domain if you ever want to change your domain. Below that is where you can find the URL for your consumer mobile app. So you can copy that there and paste it wherever needed. Under that, you still have the preferences to add or disable the Keller Home Loans items from your mobile app. And then below that, we have our forced registration property limits. So this is where you can set limits to where people will need to register on your site after viewing so many properties. So you have the option to leave it as unrestricted to where they will not be required to sign up on your site. You have the option to set it to a maximum of 10 properties, a maximum of 2 properties, or you can set it to no property viewing. So when someone is on your website and they register on your site, that's going to enter them into your command database as a new lead captured from your website. Another thing to note is if you make any changes on this page, each section has its own save button. So you do want to make sure you are selecting the correct save option when making any changes here. A couple other things you will notice at the top is there's going to be this testimonials tab. So if you did capture any testimonials on the old KW site before you launched your new site, this is where those are going to be housed. So you'll see we didn't have any on our old site here, so you're not going to see anything on ours. However, if you did capture those testimonials, those are not going to automatically transfer over to your new agent site. However, you can still locate them here so that you can manually add them to your new site if you want to. And then you have your collections here. That's going to be the same as it was on the old sites. So any collections that were created previously should still be available there for you. So now let's go ahead and jump into the back end of our site here. So we're going to click on the Edit My Website button here in the center. So once you jump into your website dashboard, you're going to get this pop-up box asking you to take a tour. I'm going to go ahead and select Explore on my own just to get rid of this. If you ever need to get that back for any reason, you can always click on the tour button in the top right corner up here. So for today's coverage, we will just kind of work our way down the Edit Your Website section down here. We're going to start from the top of the list and work our way down just to avoid any back and forth confusion there. So while this might not be the order of the pages on the site, this will just kind of keep it easier. Now, if your page titles look a little different on your end, that's completely normal. It may not look exactly the same as it does on ours, as those can be changed and customized. So you'll see here we have a blog list page. So this is the page where any blog posts are going to be. We have the About the Agent page. So this is going to be your About Me page, and that's going to pull in the information from your marketing profile. And then we have our home page. So that's going to be our hero images, our IDX search, our featured listings, our featured testimonials, as well as blog posts. So we're going to go ahead and start jumping into these. So we're going to start with the blog list page. So once we have our page opened up here, if we click on the drop down here, that's going to give us our options for our page here. So when you launch your new KW site, everyone is automatically provided with these 4 default blogs. So this is a 4-part buyer's guide blog. So you have the option to use those as well as creating your own additional blogs. So these are the only ones that are going to be provided by KW for you. So if you do want to add any more blogs to your site, those will need to be added manually. You have the option to display up to 10 blogs on your site at a time. So you'll see you have the option to display between 1 and 10. You can sort them by publish date, alphabetically, or you can also manually sort them by clicking and dragging them down here. So you have a few different options there as far as the order that they show up in on your page here. If you do get into adding your own custom blogs, you can add those to your site by going into your blog list page here and then clicking this little plus symbol button here. And then that's going to give you an open line here. So if we click on this little search bar, we're going to get this pop-up box here. So we don't have any custom blogs created on ours right now. However, if we did, those would be listed here. So we would be able to search the type by blog post and find the blog title that we are looking for. And then by clicking on the title, that would add it into our site for us. You can also create posts right from here by clicking on the new button here in the bottom left of this pop-up box. To remove blog posts from your page, so you'll see I added that part 4 twice, and that's showing up twice here. So we're going to go ahead and remove one. So to remove a blog post, we just simply want to click on this red dash icon here, and that's going to remove it from our site for us. So now we just have that one part 4 there. When you finish making any changes to your site, always be sure that you click on the Save button in the top right corner to save the changes that you've made there. So that's going to be our blog list page there. So now we're going to go back to our dashboard. So we can either click on the Return to Dashboard link here, or we can click on the KW logo in the top left, and that will always bring us back to our dashboard at any time. So next below that, we have our About the Agent page. So you'll see we have our blog list page, which we were just in. So now we're going to go into our About the Agent page here. So for this page, all of this information, again, feeds directly from your marketing profile. So if you need to make any changes to your headshot photo, your name, your contact information, anything like that, you want to make sure you're updating that in your marketing profile to feed over to your website. And if you do make changes to your marketing profile and you don't see that reflecting right away, we have seen that it tends to take about 30 minutes to an hour for those updates to carry over to your site. So because that information feeds over automatically, you're going to see that if we click on the drop downs here for our agent profile or agent details, we're not going to have any options to make edits here. The only options that we have here is to either display or hide the information from our page. So if we wanted to hide our agent details, we could change this from display to hide here. And that would take those details away from our page here. If we wanted to hide our bio from our page, we could hide our bio. So you can pick and choose what you want to show on your page and what you don't want on your page here. And then under that, you're going to see that we have the option for preferred vendors. So I'm going to just minimize these so we can see this better here. So we have a drop down here, number 4, for preferred partners or preferred vendors. So if we click on that here, so this is going to be done through a third party that KW has partnered with called Move Easy. And you'll see that in the description here. So there is a link within this description here, right where it says link. And this is where you will click on to add your vendors to your website. So if we click on this link here, that's going to open up a new tab for us. Let's see if this loads for us here today. There we go. So this is where we can add and remove and manage the preferred vendors that are showing up on our website. So to add a new vendor, we want to go to the top right and click on the Add Vendor button here. And you also have the option to add multiple vendors at a time with this Add Multiple Vendors button, which is pretty cool. So for your vendor information, it is going to require the vendor name and the telephone number. Everything else is optional. So we have the option for our vendor name. You can add the direct link to your vendor's website. If there is a point of contact name you want to add, vendor email address, and vendor phone number. Under that is going to be where you will choose the vendor type. So there is a long list of items to scroll through here, or you can type in the text box here to look for what you are trying to find there. So you can simply type in there and select from the drop-down list there. If they have certain counties that they service, you can add in the counties here. And then you can also add in their logo here. So once you have that all filled out, just be sure you click on the Add Vendor button at the bottom here. And that's going to add them to your vendor list, which will then show up on your website under that preferred vendors section. So if we scroll down here in the middle preview, you'll see the preferred vendors list here. If you do want to change the title and description to say something different, you certainly can. So you'll see on the left side, we do have the option to edit the title as well as add our own description. Otherwise, it will just stay with the default text there. So once again, if you make any changes to this, make sure you click on that save button in the top right there to save our changes. Once that finishes saving, it should give us that green banner letting us know that it's saved with that link to return to our dashboard. It's just running a little bit slower today, it looks like. Oh. Looks like they might be having some issues on the back end. They may be running some updates today after family reunion there. There we go. So there's our green banner letting us know that our page saved there, and we can go ahead and return to dashboard. See if this loads for us here. There we go. So once we're back in our dashboard, we're going to go to our next page, which is going to be our home page. So we went through our blog list page, our about the agent page. So now we'll click into home page here. So we've got our preview here in the center. So very similar to the old KW sites, we have our hero images and our IDX search here. And then we have our featured listings. And then now with the new KW sites, we also have our featured testimonials here on our homepage and a preview of our blog here. So the blog on the homepage is only going to show up to 4 blogs at a time. So if you have any additional blogs added, then those will show up on that blog list page that we went over previously. So over here on the left side, we have our first drop down here. This is going to be our listing search module, which is going to be our hero images here. So if you want to change the title to say something other than this Find Your Dream Home, you can definitely customize that verbiage to whatever you prefer there. If you have your own custom hero images, you can add them in here. So you'll see we have a couple custom images added already. Or there is these default images. So if you have not added your own images, you should see these default images circling through your images here. And then these are always going to be in the background grayed out. The reason for that is if you were to remove your custom images, it's automatically going to initiate those default images. That way you never have a blank screen here. So going back up to add hero images, you can simply click on the add image button here. That's going to give us an empty box here. So if we click in this box, that's going to give us a pop-up box to select the image that we want to use. And then you can also upload new images by either clicking the new image button in the bottom left of this pop-up, or instead of clicking add image, you can click on upload files instead. And that will give you a pop-up window to upload your files from your computer. You can rearrange these if you want them to show up in a different order. So we can simply click and drag these around if we want to reorder those. And if we want to delete images, we can simply click on the red line to remove this, and that will delete it from our hero images there. So that's going to be our first section here. So we're going to go ahead and minimize this and get it out of the way. So next we have section 2, which is our featured listings. And if you do want to hide either featured listings or featured testimonials or the blog from your homepage, you do have the option to hide any of these items. So at the top of each of these drop downs, you are going to have the display or hide option here. So if you don't want to have featured listings on there, you can hide that. Or if you don't want to show testimonials on your homepage, you can hide those. Whatever you prefer your page to look like, you can kind of customize that around a little bit. You do have the option to change the title and description. So it does default to featured listings and this check out my featured properties description. However, you can change that verbiage if you want to use something different. So next is where we are going to add our listings in. So the new websites is going to be a little bit different on how the featured listings worked on the old sites. So if you were using the old KW sites, you may remember that you had to manually add in each of your featured listings. This will now pull in listings automatically based on the criteria that you are entering in here. So the first thing you want to do is enter your center point location. So you should be able to click on this box and search for the center point that you want to use. You can either search by a full street address, you can search by city and state, you can search by zip code, whatever works best for you in choosing your center point location there. And then you are going to choose the maximum number of listings you want to display, as well as the search mile radius that you want your listings to pull from. So remember, this is going to be a center point. So this is going to be a radius based out from that center point, kind of like a circle. You can also choose how these listings are sorted. So you have many sort options here: living area, price range, days on site, and recently updated. So you have all of those options for sorting these featured listings here. And then you also still have the option to manually add listings. So if you have your own personal listings that you want to be sure are showing up on your featured listings, you can add those in manually. Any listings that you manually add will show up at the very start of this list. So if you add in your personal listings here, those will be the first ones to show up on your featured listings. You can also rearrange these if you add more than one listing here by clicking the 3 lines and dragging those around there. Under that, you're going to see a drop down for filter listings. This is going to give us some additional filter options to filter these listings out. So we have listing categories. So we have sale, sold, rent, or rented. You can select more than one. Just keep in mind, this might not pull those listings in, as this is going to be based on what your MLS allows. Same with listing status here. So you have the option for active, pending, and coming soon. But again, this is going to be based on what is allowed through your MLS, as not all MLS boards allow listings to show when they are pending or coming soon. Under that, you have your property types. So you can select as many of these as you would like to. So you have houses, apartments, townhomes, condos, co-ops, land, manufactured, multifamily, and other. So you can select as many of those as you would like to for your featured listings there. You can select a minimum and maximum criteria for bathrooms, bedrooms, home size, lot size, as well as your price range. So if you only want to show listings in a certain price range, you can add that in there. And then you also have the option to add keywords. So for example, we have added in pool and garage here. So that means it is only going to pull in listings that have a pool or a garage. So you can add as many keywords as you would like to here, or you can remove them by clicking the red line there. And you can also reorder them as well. However, the order of your keywords isn't going to make a big difference when it comes to the criteria of your listings. So we'll go ahead and go all the way up here and minimize this down to get it out of the way. And then the next one we have is going to be our featured testimonials. So again, you can choose to hide or display this. If you would wish to not have this on your homepage, you can select the hide option here. You can customize the title and description if you would like to. And then down below that is going to be our details for our testimonials. Now, if you were using the old KW sites, you may remember that you were only allowed to have a maximum of 12 testimonials on your site. So with the new sites, they have now increased that to 20. So you can show up to 20 testimonials on your website at a time. You can choose to sort them by newest or oldest, or you can manually sort them by clicking and dragging. So whichever works best for you. To add testimonials to your page, you're going to click on the plus button here. Now, if a testimonial was captured on your new website, you should be able to locate that here in this dropdown, where you will simply be able to click on your client's name and add that testimonial to your site here. Or if you are looking to add testimonials from another platform, such as Google reviews or your Zillow reviews, or if you have testimonials captured from your old KW site that are in that consumer tab, you can add those manually by clicking that little plus button there. And then instead of selecting a name from the drop down here, if we go all the way to the top, we have the option to create new. So if we click on that here, that's going to open up a new box here. And once it loads, it will give us a form to enter our testimonial information. It looks like they are doing some updates on the websites here, as it's going a little bit slow today. There we go. So right from the top, we have our star ratings here. So you have 1 through 5 for your star ratings. Under that, we have the testimonial text. And then below that, we have our client's name, first name and last name. And then you have the client sent date. And then you can also enter your client's location, city, state, zip code, country. You have a toggle here for whether it's recommended. And then you'll see these are unavailable, the created at and updated at, because this is being created manually and not pulling in to feed that information through. So once you complete this form, be sure that you click on the Publish button in the top right corner up here. The only items that are required to submit this form is the star rating, the testimonial text, the client name, and the client since date. Anything below the client since date is not required. So you will be able to publish that as long as you have this first information here. So when you click on publish, you're going to get a green banner letting you know that it was published or saved. And then we can click on the back button here. And then that testimonial that you added should then show up in your recently updated list here. You can edit any of these testimonials by clicking on the pencil icon here. So that's going to bring up that form, and we can make any changes to this here. And then you'll see at the bottom, now you can see that created at time and the updated time. So there's our published green banner there at the top, and we'll go ahead and go back. And again, you can reorder these by clicking and dragging if you want them to show in a different order. And then you can remove them by clicking the red line next to the testimonial that you want to remove. So let's go ahead and go up and minimize this section out of the way here. And then next we have our blog. So this is very similar to the blog list page that we went over at the beginning. If this wants to load for us here. Let's see if we can refresh the page and get that pushed through. There we go. So you'll see when I refresh, we got this yellow banner here at the top. So that's going to be restored work in progress. So what that does is if you leave the page for any reason, or your window closes, your computer shuts down, and you don't save your changes, this does keep your work in progress until you either save it or you clear your changes out. So that's really great because you don't have to worry about losing any progress that you've made to your page if you're not ready to save it yet. So for the blog posts, you can choose to hide these from your homepage if you would like to. You have that display or hide option here. You can change the title and description if you would like. So if by chance you want to remove the buyer's guide blogs and use your own blogs, you can change the title to remove that buyer's guide text there. You can add a description or leave the default description in there. And then below that is going to work the same way as the blog list page did. The only difference is our blog list page can show up to 10 blogs at a time, and this is only going to show up to 4 at a time. So you have sort options here, or you can manually sort them down here. And then you can add your blogs the same way that we did on that blog list page. So we can click on that plus symbol there, click on that box there. And if we've already created our blog post, we can find that here. We can look through the type for blog post and then find the blog name that we're looking for. Or we can create new by clicking that new button in the bottom left of the pop-up there. So once we have our changes made, we want to make sure we click on the save button in the top right to save our changes. It's trying to work. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and go back to our dashboard. And then the last item we have under the edit your website section is going to be our form, which is going to be our contact form. So the contact form will show up at the bottom of your homepage, the bottom of your about the agent page, and I believe the bottom of your search page. And then you can also add your contact form to any custom pages that you might create. So you'll see there's only a couple things that we can customize here on the contact form. So we can edit the title. So if you want the title to say something different, you can edit that to customize it. And then you also have this opt-in language. So if you want to customize this or change it in any way, you can do so here. And then anything else on this page, as far as the headshot and contact details, is going to pull from your marketing profile. So again, if you make any changes to this, make sure you click on that save button. And now we can head back to our dashboard. So we're almost to the end here. There's just a couple more things that I want to show you. So the one thing that I want to go over is you'll see that there is no longer landing pages within the consumer tab. However, you do still have the ability to create custom landing pages, and you also have the ability to generate open house sign-in pages. So I'm going to show you how to generate that open house sign-in sheet. So we're going to go ahead and open up our live website by clicking on the link here at the top. So there's a couple different ways here. We can either search for the property address of the listing that we are holding the open house for, or if we have it added to our featured listings, we can grab it from our featured listings here. So the first thing we want to do to get our open house sign-in page is we want to open up the listing that we are holding the open house for. And then once that listing page loads, so this is very similar to the old sites where it's going to automatically pull this details in from the MLS. So we have our MLS photos and all our details down here. So to generate our open house sign-in page, we want to go up to the search bar up here, and we're going to click on this and go to the end of this URL here. And we want to type in /open house, no spaces or dashes or anything. And then we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And that's going to refresh this page to our open house sign-in sheet. So we're going to have the property photos here at the top, the property address, and a few of those details there. And then our items that we have to key in here for the sign-in page. So all of these items are going to be required for your clients. So it's going to be their first name, last name, and then their email address, as well as their phone number here. And then there is also going to be a checkbox here. And this is just stating that they consent to receive phone calls, emails, text messaging, any kind of correspondence from you. So once that is all completed, they can then hit submit. Once they submit that, they're going to be able to see your profile details here on the left. And then they're also going to get this QR code that they can scan, and that's going to pull up the property details of the property. So this is great to have open during your open house, whether you're using a tablet, a laptop, anything like that. You can use this one form for the entire duration of your open house, because this is a revolving form. So once you finish capturing that contact information and they scan that QR code and move on, you can then click on the back to sign in button in the top left corner up here. And that's going to refresh the page and ready to capture the next client's information. So this is a completely revolving form. Each one that fills this form out is going to go into your command database as a new lead. And those will be captured through your open house sign-in sheet here. If you want to grab this URL, you can go up to the search bar up here and simply highlight and right click and copy. If you want to use this to maybe generate a QR code for your sign-in sheet or anything like that, you can certainly do so. So that's going to be our open house sign-in page there. The other thing that I'm going to cover before we wrap this up is going to be where to find the new spot for the Google Analytics. Because if you remember at the start of today's class, we saw that in the marketing profile, and I kind of touched on how that's moved to the back end of the website. So to locate that, we are going to go to our website dashboard here. And then we want to go to the top left corner and click on these 3 lines up here. And then we want to click on the drop down for admin. And then we're going to go under organization site. So there's a couple things back here that I'll show you. So we have the option to change the site theme if we would like. So you have the default theme, or you also have the option for Slate Light and Slate Dark. So you can kind of play around with those and see what each of those looks like. And then down under here, we have our Google Analytics tracking ID spot. So this text box here is where your tracking ID is going to go. So if you have your Google Analytics set up or you are looking to set that up, this is where you want to paste that tracking ID. And again, if you make any changes here, just make sure that you click on that save button in the top right. So before we do wrap up, let's go ahead and take a look what our live site looks like. So here's our homepage here. So we have right at the top our hero images and our IDX search here. Under that, we can find our featured listings here. So we can scroll through these with the arrows. Remember those keywords, you'll see each of these houses has a pool there. Below that, we have our featured testimonials. Same thing, we can simply scroll through these with the arrows here. And then we have our buyer's guide blogs here, or if you are using your own custom blogs. And then at the bottom of the blogs on the homepage, if you click on the read more button here, that's going to automatically load that blog list page. So that's automatically going to go to that blog page there. And this is where you can have up to 10 blogs. So we also have our About Me page here. So once again, all of this feeds directly from your marketing profile. So we have our contact information, our details, our social media links are here. We have our bio here. And our preferred vendors down here. Then we have the search properties page. So this is going to be our IDX search here. Very similar to how it was on the old site. If you were using the old KW sites, you can search by location, school district, zip code, things like that. You have all those search options still here. You have your additional filters, and this automatically pulls in from the MLS. So we went over the blog page, and then under more, if we hover over the word more, we have this drop down. So this is where the leave a review page is going to be. So this is where your clients can leave a testimonial on your site. All of these items are required. So if they do have any trouble submitting the form, it may be that they're missing some information. And then all the way on the right, we have that login button. So this is going to be the client login for your consumer site. So what's great about this is if your clients have already created an account on your old site before you launched your new site, all of that will carry over to the new site. So if they made an account and created their collections, things like that, those will all still be there. So none of that will get lost in the transition. And the other thing that I will show you that's pretty cool here is in the very top right, you'll see this little globe icon here. If we click on this gives us the option to change the language. So if your clients speak a different language, they can go in here and click that drop down and change this to their preferred language, and that will change the language on the site here. So you'll see that automatically changed all of that to Spanish for us here. So we'll go ahead and change that back. And then we also always have our social media links there in the top right as well. So that about wraps us our time today. I know we've cut it pretty close. If you run into any trouble or have any issues updating anything or any questions, you can reach out to us anytime at all at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Thank you all for joining today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.